Hi everyone, today's masterclass is going to be on the topic of inspiring effective communication. Now, one of the fundamental things that I think we tend to overlook about communicating and communication as such is the fact that whatever it is that we're trying to communicate always has a receiver at the end. So it's just as important for us to consider how is our message being received by the person that's receiving the message, just as much as it is about, all the fundamentals that go into putting together a message to make it clear. So when it comes to trying to make our communication more effective, there's a few things that I tend to take into consideration. So first and foremost, it's always important to make sure that you are clear about the objective of the message that you are putting across. If this is something that you are unsure of or unclear of yourself, then it's likely that the receiver at the receiving end of the message is also likely not going to get any kind of clear messaging from what it is that you're saying. In addition to this, if there is an action or a result that's attached to the objective of your message, it is also vital that you communicate this across, just so there's no misunderstanding or gaps in knowledge, so that the other person is just as clear that okay, there's an objective to this message and there's an action that's required and there's possibly a result that's being expected of them. So just laying this out as clear as possible will, I think, make your communication or your messaging so much more clear for the other person. In addition to this, I think one of the aspects that we tend to overlook is also the channel or the medium in which we communicate. In our professional setting, I think it's just as important to be mindful of the channel in which the message that you're putting across is coming through. So when it comes to things like, day-to-day messages that about topics that a team is talking about quite often, you can resort to things like, a group collab or a group chat to put across your message. But when it comes to things like, something that is more sensitive in nature, or it's a bit more vague and, it needs more clarity through the form of discussion, a good video call would just do the trick, because it's so much more efficient and effective in terms of being able to, make your message more clear to the other person. And finally, I think one of the fundamentals of making your communication as effective as possible is being open to feedback. This is just as important, just because we tend to often think that, a message that we're putting across is as clear as possible, but that might not always be the case. People receive and perceive messages very differently, and especially in the form of chats, and when you're not able to see them kind of react to your message, is quite hard to understand whether the messages come across in a certain way. So being open to feedback every now and then as to whether you should be making your messages clearer, or whether there should be more instruction, or whatever it is, it's always good to get feedback from your team about, can I be more clear in the messages that I'm putting across, or can I be more effective in something that I'm communicating? So these were some of the things that I think are kind of important to take into consideration. So I hope this was helpful, and thank you all for listening.